Alrighty, the live stream is officially begun. I'll make another note when I intro the event, but just so everyone knows that this is going to YouTube. If you do have your cameras on, you're certainly welcome to have your cameras on. And it kind of helps us feel together in community if you are able. But it's always good to know when things are being live streamed and not just in the Zoom room. Alrighty, Ellen, is everything set on the tech end? All right, y'all, let's get going, and then people can still join in as we go. This is going to be a really casual event, so we'll get it started. Hi, if you don't know me already, my name is Lois. My pronouns are she, her. I am a white woman with mid-length dark brown hair, currently wearing a like yellow mustard sweater. I am the festival's co-director. The other half of our co-directorship is here as well, off camera, Ellen. And then we have Carly, our communications director, joining as well. I want to start out by saying that the Hollywood Fringe acknowledges that we are on the unceded lands of the Tongva Quiche, Gabrielinos, and Gabrielinos. Our statement serves as a practice as we commit to furthering our connection to the Indigenous communities past, present, and emerging. Like I said before, we are recording this event and live streaming to YouTube. So if you are on YouTube or here in the Zoom room, make sure to use those chats, ask questions, get involved. Carly will be monitoring both the YouTube and the Zoom room. The Hollywood Fringe, we do have a community ethos and code of conduct that we expect all participants to follow. And we're going to talk a lot about this. If you came to our first town hall, we went into this in great detail, and it'll continue to come up. But I want to remind you that this, of course, applies here in our digital space, as well as our in-person events. You can read all about that at hollywoodfringe.org/conduct. If you do experience any harm or have an issue today or at any future event, please talk to a member of staff. Like today, myself, Ellen, and Carly are on. And I will say today, since I will be kind of running the event and sharing my screen, make sure to reach out to either Ellen or Carly if something comes up. And if the staff reaches out to you because of a complaint that we got in, just please take that seriously and have that conversation with us. Registration opened yesterday. I don't know if anyone noticed, but registration will be open. I mean, past April 1st, but April 1st is going to be that first really important deadline if you're planning on participating. That is the deadline for the printed guide. So make sure if you want to be in that printed guide, which I think you do, it's a big part of the festival, make sure you get your registration all done by April 1st. With that, let's talk about why we're here today. We're going to go over kind of the tech side of things. Something we learned last year after talking to participants after our festival was over, that the website was a little bit confusing. And so we want to make sure we're able to walk you through the website, both like the technical things, like today we're going to talk through registration and project page and really go through the workflow, but then additionally where to find resources. So we're going to kind of go on an introduction to the website with you so that you can really take full advantage of all the tools that we have to offer there. So with that, I think I'm just going to share my screen and get going. Are we ready? Let's do it. Give me one moment to get things put together here. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So no, I want everyone here. I don't know how technically savvy everyone is. I'm just going to go out and admit that like I am not the most technical savvy person on our team or just in general. And so know that if any of this feels overwhelming, I promise it is easy to learn. Like, I don't know, like I went to art school and tech was not something that was a focus. So know that like, that's what this is all about, kind of introing to make these things super simple. So welcome to the Hollywood Fringe homepage. I'm guessing you've seen this page. You are here today. So let's walk through just the basics on where to find things on this homepage. Because something we do is we try to make sure that we're putting information that is super important and like maybe on a deadline right in your face. So that's going to be right here. So today or on the 1st, we opened registration. So boom, a link to registration and getting that process started is right there. We also have our upcoming event schedule. That is going to be all of our workshops and town halls, all of the educational like events, also our networking. So anything that is coming up on the Fringe schedule, you will find right here. Also venue tours. You're probably starting to look at venues because you'll need to book a venue in order to fully finish the registration process. So there's a lot of helpful tours and things right here for you. We'll skip down. This is the section right in the middle here, categories, venue. This is going to be more helpful when finding shows to see, but you can start to get an idea of ways to search for shows here. Down below, we have programs. So these will get updated as things become more relevant, but it's a lot of the, like all of the Fringe run programming lives right here. So for example, we have the Fringe button. That's going to be something you get as a primary producer when you register. You are automatically given a Fringe button. Then we have awards. We have our code of conduct right here, easy to find in our community ethos. Buy an ad. We can go over the full marketplace later today as well. And then Fringe Hotspots, that's a fun program that takes place during the festival where you get discounts at local bars, restaurants, shops, things like that with your Fringe button. We have our online merch. So we do have an online shop if you want to get some fun Hollywood merch to show off your festival spirit during the festival or beyond. We have that there. Fringe Scholarships, that's all about our Fringe Scholarship program. And then of course, donate to Fringe. We are a nonprofit and need to have that button up where people can donate if they are able. And then Fringe TV, this is going to be a super helpful link that goes directly to all of the recorded sessions that we're doing. So like our town hall and our venue panel, those two have passed. And then this event today, all three of these are going to be available to you right there. Down below, we have upcoming events. That's going to be also super helpful. We start out anything that's run by HFF. That's going to be like Fringe run programming, starts out with HFF23. So you know the difference. We do have some producers and wonderful people who have been a part of the community for a long time who will teach workshops through our website as well, but those won't start out with HFF23. So boom, that is the homepage. Shall we start the registration process? Let's start out with our account. So once you're logged in, you'll see on the bottom left corner, a little icon. If you've uploaded a photo, you will see your face there. In my case, I have a dummy account. I didn't use my own Fringe account because then you'd see a bunch of things that you won't see, and that's not helpful. So for this, I have my dummy account. So my little Fringe freak, that's our mascot here. So this is your personal page, right? You can edit this at any time. Change things right here. And this is also where you're going to see a lot of things added as you go through the process. Favorites, anything you've selected that you know you want to keep on your radar in the future for shows or workshops, you can favorite and they'll live right here. Anything you purchase through the Fringe website will live right here. The schedule, all of that stuff. So let's go over, move the screen here, and register a project. So there's a couple ways you can get there, but this seems like the most appropriate. We're going to go all about Fringe. We're going to go through the supportal, which is super fun, artists and crew. So to all about registration, which is something if you are new to the festival, you're going to want to read through before you really take the steps to register. Down here, you'll see this first step, create your project. And we'll go through this supportal later, I promise. So we're going to create a project. You can also find that at add_project after Hollywood Fringe. Okay, so this is going to be your first step in registering, yeah? You got to pick a title. For me, it's going to be Lois's show. Lois show. You're going to want to pick a category. This is cabaret and variety. With category, this is something we keep kind of hitting on, but it is important because your show might fall under multiple categories. So it's really up to you to choose the adventure that's going to be best for you and your show. Two things to consider are going to be marketing, how you want to market your show in the guide and on the website, because it'll be under category. It'll also be for award consideration. We have the community awards, and those are voted on by the community in categories. So if you are, for example, a solo show that also includes music or physical comedy, there's a few options for you. You can do solo show, you can do dance and physical theater, you can do comedy, or you could do musicals and opera if there is singing. So it's totally up to you. And I'm going to give you a pointer. We do see a lot of solo shows at Hollywood Fringe. So if you're looking to attract awards, sometimes the other categories will be smaller. So just a little hot tip there. Company. If you don't have a company, that's totally fine. You can put your name, or you can make up a company and kind of start branding yourself here. For me, I'm going to put my name because mine is a solo show. So sometimes, yeah, if you are a solo show, that's a great place to put your name in there as well. So short description, that's going to be what goes into the printed guide. You're going to get 300 characters. Use them wisely because that is going to be on everything in print. you have until April 1st. So don't freak out. Like this can be a working document until April 1st, really until April 10th, when we really lock down everything in text. That is when you need to be really happy with what's here. And we'll talk more and more about this as the deadline gets closer, because we want them to go out correct. We want to make sure you're spell checking, you know, sending it to a friend to look over. You'll want to be really happy with what's in there. But for now, we're going to skip over long description. That's going to go on the website. So anything on the web, that's where you get to play with this long description. So you can really go at it. Like it does not have to be short. Really go into detail about your show. You use that space. External website, wherever you want people to go. If you have a company website, if you have a personal website, whatever that website that you want out there, that's what you put right there. And then we have minimum age. This is going to be important if you are in a bar space, especially. Like, it should be important anyway. If you have really adult content, you're not going to want to put that, you know, 0 and up can come see your show. That's just not going to be good marketing for you when people are complaining about the content, especially if you were at 3 clubs. That is our only bar space right now. So if you were at 3 clubs, you're going to want to make sure that that is 21 plus. Otherwise, you're going to have people coming in who are not able to get to your show, and that's going to cause a headache later down the line. Performance duration, also very important. And remember, you can start to edit this, but work with your venue to make sure that your performance duration is spot on. You want to make sure you're timing your performance and they're scheduling your performance correctly. So for here, it's a 10-minute performance. Phone number. Nobody sees this on the website. That is for Fringe staff. If something happens and we desperately need to get a hold of you, for example, if we're having an issue with a ticket and we want to make sure to resolve that so the people in your will call can see your show, whatever that is, but we rarely have to use it. But no, that's just for Fringe staff. Where is it from? California. And then ticket price. This is something you're going to want to also make sure is set by that April 10th deadline. So right now it can be what you're thinking, but that can change. Know that the average is $10 to $12, but it is entirely up to you. We don't put any sort of restrictions on what you charge for your show. We just ask that by April 10th, you know what that's going to be, so that what goes into the printed guide is correct, so that people don't think your show is $5 and they get to the site and it's $30. They're probably not going to see your show then. So you want to just be upfront with that. Below here, you're going to pick some flags. Is that a world premiere? If it is, you definitely want to advertise that. Are there flashing lights? You definitely want to advertise that so that people don't have a bad experience who weren't expecting that. If it's a one-person show, obviously click that. If it includes nudity, please click that. We don't have searchable flags. Like nobody can search for shows with nudity because that'd be weird. But we do want to make sure that if your show does include nudity, it is on the project page and it'll come up as a flag for people looking at your show so that they know what to expect. And if it's family friendly, make sure you see that, because a lot of people are looking to bring their kids, and that'll be a great way to market. Okay, I'm going to make sure I'm not a robot. And I've added a project. All right, step 1 done. Next up are the details. This is all stuff that can be changed later, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But this is going to be a lot for venue. So half of this form here, the details for venue, and the other half is for Fringe staff. The things that are Fringe staff only go to Fringe staff. The things for venue only go to venue. So cast, that's for your venue. That way they have an idea of what to expect when you're starting those conversations, right? If you have a cast of 20 and you're looking at a small black box that really fits 4 actors, then they're going to want to know that early in the conversation so that they can either, let you know that that's not an option, or maybe even point you toward a venue that's going to be more suited for 20 people. So for here, we're going to say 1. Again, this can change here, but where's your ticket price going to be, give or take? How many preview performances do you need? Again, that's for venues to start to get an idea. None of this is set in stone by putting this here. This is just the start to the conversation with venues. That way they know going in, maybe they don't have any previews left in their venue space. So they know they need to be upfront with that when you have that conversation to say, hey, I don't have any previews left. Is that a deal breaker? This is all just helping the process. How many festival performances do you need? 5. But again, this will not be the first time you have this conversation. Do you have any conflicts in June? If you have any, if you don't, say that you don't. What's your desired schedule? And here again, this is not gonna be set in stone. But if you have an idea of what you'd really want, definitely put that in there. That way the venue knows going in. Know that also when it comes to Fringe, what is normally a desired schedule is not always a desired schedule because there's just no rules. There's not the normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Of course, we all know that those are hot times, right? 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock on the weekends. But at Fringe, sometimes the best times are, Wednesday at 7 o'clock, because there's too many shows that are competing in those like major time slots, or what you would think of as major time slots. So I always recommend, and so does really everyone we've heard from, kind of getting a mixture. A mixture is going to be really helpful for you. So you can put in here, any days, no preference. Well, I can spell things. All right. What's the status of your show? This is going to be really helpful legally. If you do not have the rights to your show, that's going to be a problem, and something that we're going to want to catch up with and make sure you do before you're performing. So let us know. Have you previously performed in Los Angeles? Is it published and you have the rights, so you're good to go? Is it a premiere run that you have permission for, or is it published and don't have the rights? Because then we're going to need to check in, and specifically the venue space will need to check in as well. And then what are your technical requirements? So this, again, it will all change, and you'll have more detailed conversations with your venues, but this is just another chance for them to know whether or not they can really be helpful to your show. If you need things that the venue does not have, they're going to want to let you know that before you spend too much time, working down that path. So make sure you're sharing as much information as you have, or if you haven't figured it out yet, just be honest about that too. No idea might be that, and that's okay. Maybe you're super flexible and want to see what the venue space is first and make your decisions. Totally fine. What is your availability to meet with a venue, right? That can be anything that's going to work in your schedule to try to help make it easy to make a connection there. Any day is good. All right, have you ever produced at the Hollywood Fringe before? Pretty self-explanatory, right? If you've been around, it's good to know. It's, again, also another thing to help venues know, how, because they're very helpful. They know so much about Fringe, and they want to help the festival participants succeed. So it lets them know too, if you have no idea, you've never done Fringe, then they're going to be able to help you out a little more than they would if you're a pro, you've done this before, then they know you got it, and they don't want to step on toes. My first Fringe. These questions are just for our annual report and grant writing. So no, none of this information about the demographics of our festival producers, that doesn't get shared publicly anywhere on the individual level. It's all grouped as a full data report. And that way, like I said, we can apply for grants to try to get more funding for our artists and the programs we do. And also, so we know who's producing at our festival so that we can best serve. So that is not public in any fashion, but you can always say you prefer not to say. That is totally your call. All of these, again, you can choose to not age. Oh, that's hopeful. That's such wishful thinking. I am not 20 to 29, but we're going to go with that for now. All right, next step. Tags. This is when you start to think about marketing and what you're going to market your show as, what you want people to think of when they're thinking about your show, things like that. So it's up to you. You can choose to do this now. You can choose to do this later. This is just a way for show or people to search for your show, just like on social media. So you can choose from the popular tags here, or you can make up your own. Totally up to you. All right, next step. Applying to a venue. So we talked about those venue questions, right? So that application, just the venue questions, not the ones about the detailed information. All the venue questions will get sent to venues when you apply to venues. We try to make it easy for you to have all of that information in one place. That way you can just apply to a bunch of venues that pique your interest. So here, and you can skip right past this and come back to this. I'll show you a great or an easy way to apply to venues later. But you can also do it right here as you're registering. Whoop. Next up. So you just hit apply. And boom, submitted. You've now applied to that venue, but that is not the end of the road. So no, if you apply to venues, there's still a follow-up. You want to continue conversation because you just never know. They're getting applications from hundreds of participants. So you want to make sure you're applying, and then maybe a few days later, sending an email or giving them a phone call, something like that. But this is a great way to start the conversation. You can also search for things on this left side here. And if you're looking, we do have the BYO venue. So if you want to produce at a venue or a space, a found space perhaps, that is not already a registered venue on the website, you can absolutely do that. It does require, like, depending on the space, certain permitting, insurance, and all of that. So if you do want to bring your own venue, just email support@hollywoodfringe.org and we'll help you along that journey because it is a little more complicated than just performing at a venue that is already registered in the Fringe. Okay, so you can apply to venues. There's lots of spaces, so that's exciting. And the next step is going to be your contract. This is, it protects you, it protects us. It's, every business is going to have one. I recommend you read it. We're not trying to get anything past you by any means, but it's just good business practice to read your contract to know what's expected of you. It's all pretty self-explanatory. The code of conduct is included as it is your commitment to the festival to uphold the code of conduct in our spaces. So we ask that you read through it. It also includes all of the things that, Fringe is required to give you for paying this amount of money for registering. So it's important on all fronts. Cancellation policy, all of that. A little light reading. And accept contract. Okay, now to the registration point. So now this is when you pay the monies, and you have a few different options, as you can see on the screen. We have paid multiple performance. That is going to be your most popular. That means you want to produce your show more than once during the festival and charge for tickets. That is the basic run, right? That is what most people are going to do. Additionally, we have a free show. That means that you are not charging for tickets. That means you can do pay what you can, but you cannot give a suggested price of, if that makes sense. And we'll go over tickets a lot more at future events and in the second web session when it's a little more prominent to what we're doing at the time. But no, that's what that means. So if you want to charge, pay what you can without any suggested, which means potentially every audience member would pay $0, then the free option is for you. Or if you want to do a one-off, you can charge for tickets, but you just want to do one show. Also, these two are not super popular, but they happen. Sometimes, people do just want to produce a free show, really garner some reviews and recognition and awards, and they're not worried about making money back. Or the one-off, maybe someone's doing a workshop and really wants some feedback before they go off and do something different. Then there's workshop or class. If you were a non-participant, that is $50. It's a great chance if you have a skill that you want to teach the Fringe community. Most of them are theater-based, but we kind of joked at the town hall, it could be like, taxes for independent artists, whatever it is, as long as it fits into the realm of our theater community in some fashion, that works. And we really love the knowledge share that the Fringe community uplifts. And so because there's just so many brilliant artists who have so much to share, so we want to provide a really cheap opportunity for you to share your knowledge with the Fringe community and make some money. So you can charge for tickets for this. And then if you are a participant, if you're already doing a show, then you can do one of these for free. Just email support@hollywoodfringe.org and we can set up that registration for you. So you can do a show and additionally teach a workshop at no extra cost, as long as you have a venue space for that workshop. All right, so I am going to hop out of here really quick. Ellen, will you make my project live so that I'm not putting in a credit card on YouTube Live, but you can see just the credit card information, right? I'm going to stop sharing for a moment while Ellen gets my project up. But do we have any questions about the registration process? That was a pretty big chunk. Any questions? Fantastic. Let's move over. One moment and I'll set up the homepage again. Okay. Okay, let's go back in and see how that has changed, assuming Ellen has registered my page. So now I have a My Projects tab. So that wasn't there before because now I have a quick and easy link to my project, Lois's show, right here. And now we can manage project. And all of that information, actually, I'm going to go back. If I click on my project, right here, that says registered for the Hollywood Fringe 2023. So now if you do want to go back and change anything, and right now I've only just clicked on my project, right? So I'm in my project homepage. If you want to go in and change anything in the registration process that we just went through, just go to view registration and it all pops up right here. Contract, so you can remind yourself what you signed. The venues, so you can also go back and apply to other venues. And it shows you who you've applied to, so you don't accidentally multi-apply. You can add tags, all the details, all the basics right here. So know that it's always available to you to change at any time. So we're gonna go back to you also have the shows page here. because maybe you've had multiple. If you've done Fringe for 12 years, you're going to have a lot of shows here. And a cool thing about this site is we don't get rid of information. Even though the festival's over, it holds on. It's a information hoarding site. So you'll always have like that Google presence that comes with having a project that you've done at Hollywood Fringe in the past, or you'll have access to, and I'll show you the project page, things like in your admin tab, your patrons. Obviously, I have not put on a show yet, so I have 0 patrons. But after you've sold tickets and you've done your run at the festival, you have access to all of the patrons that saw your show that clicked the box saying, yes, please share my information with the show. And that's the majority. So you'll be able to, for the rest of your career, have an expanded email list of people that have seen your show and let them know about future shows. So this is your admin tab. This is where you're going to be spending a lot of time as the primary producer of your project. This is going to include performances, which will be added once the venue adds performances. So don't panic if you maybe even have had already signed a contract with the venue. It takes time for them to add in all of the hundreds of shows that are performing. But this is where all of your performance details will be entered once you've worked that out with the venue. Additionally, in the admin tab, you can of course edit all of these details. So this page, again, before April 1st, you're going to be spending a lot of time on that. Feed. This is where you can see kind of what you've done. You can look at the history, just like you can on a Facebook feed or something like that. This is going to show you the history of your site experience. So here it shows me that I've applied to the Actors Company. This will be all of your discount codes and price points, and the things with tickets are going to live right here, but we are not going to touch on that today because closer to June, we'll do a whole nother web session all about ticketing and kind of what to do with that side of the festival. So fear not, we're going to let you digest all of this first stuff, and then we'll go into that next time. But this is where your guide proof lives as well. That's going to be, it's going to show you exactly what's going to go in the guide. So that's going to be when we're saying check your guide proof closer to April. That's going to be where you look. So by April 10th, you are so confident in what's going to print, because at the end of the day, as much as we would love, and we give the guide so many eyes and edit everything we can, but there's hundreds of shows and there's a staff of 6 and we will miss things. So we need you to be spell checking and double checking your own project pages, because what is here will go to print. So as you can see, and then the dates, June all the way to the 25th, those will be highlighted with the days of your show. Another thing that'll be important to check when you're guide proofing to make sure that those dates match. And all of that will be right there. This is also where you'll have reports. You don't see any here because I have not sold anything, but you'll be able to have like momentary reports on what's being sold on the site. One of the things with this website in particular, it was built for Hollywood Fringe by our founding director. And specifically with what tools producers should have at their fingertips. And one of those is reporting. You should be able to, at every minute, be able to check what your tickets are doing. That way, maybe, your show's in 7 hours and you still have 20 seats left. What a great time for a discount code and for you to head over to Fringe Central to start selling some tickets, things like that. So know that that's available to you to check at any moment of any day. So that's the show page. Any questions about that so far? And I would say even feel free to unmute. This is a, casual learning space.
Lois, we had a question in the chat a little earlier, and just so that we have it on the recording, do you mind going back over the status of your show, what that means, which is during the registration process, where it's like premiere run or performed in Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, give me 1 second, go to shows. Find my show, right? Because we can always go back to view registration. All right, into details. Okay, what is the status of your show? Yeah. So the majority of the shows at Hollywood Fringe will be unpublished original work that is coming straight from perhaps the primary producer or someone working with the primary producer. And that is going to be premiere run, have permission. So if you know that you've written, or your partner or somebody in your circle of producing it is their story, then that is going to be for you. We do occasionally, and actually I wouldn't say occasionally, we have them. We have published works. We have the classic Fool for Love, or we have plays that are established works. Those you do need permission for. So we want to make sure that if it is published, you have the rights. If it is published and you are still working on getting the rights, Please be honest about that. Click that here, and then make sure to alert your venue when you have secured those rights, because a lot of people can get in trouble down the line. So we want to make sure that all of the plays that are happening at the Hollywood Fringe Festival have permission to be there. Previously performed in Los Angeles. That's going to just speaking to that, assume that's previously performed in Los Angeles, have permission. So anything other than published don't have permission. This is just your current state with permission, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we're gonna go back to my friend here. Okay, let's go to the homepage. Let's talk about information. Where do we find all of this? Because we know we are throwing so much information at you. Like, know that we're not, we're not oblivious to that fact. We know there's so much happening. And so we try to make sure that all of that is on the website available to you. That way, if you've come to a town hall or if you've come to an event and you picked up most of what we were saying, but want to go back and read an article about it, we try to make sure all of that is on the website. So where do you find these things? We're going to walk you through that. So the homepage, like we talked about, we're going to try to put the most important things that you're going to need for your Fringe journey right up here. This will kind of switch starting in May. It'll switch to being more for the audience experience. So know that right now it is entirely participant focused. It's for the participants getting ready for the festival. When tickets go on sale in May, it's going to be more audience focused so that we can help get butts in your seats. For now, participants. So let's go first to all about Fringe, right in the far right corner. That's going to be your supportal. That is our support portal. Literally 13 years worth of articles, and basically anything we're talking at you is going to be in an article in this supportal. The most important one for you is going to be artists and crew. The rest of these are fun. I mean, if you want to go, let's start about the Fringe. If you're new to Fringe and really want to get a feel for, what the heck we are, this is a great place to start. We have our code of conduct here, of course. We also have it, as we said, at hollywoodfringe.org/conduct, but it can be found right in here. That'll have our community ethos and code of conduct. Frequently asked questions. That's going to be a great place if you're getting to know the festival. That'll be a good place for you. What is the Hollywood Fringe? That's in there too. Where is the Fringe? That's going to talk about the Fringe zone and the 3-mile radius of Hollywood that we all operate in. The Fringe model that goes into kind of how we structure the festival. And of course, the festival timeline, our cultural equity and inclusion statement and plan, why we are open access. We try to be open about why we're open access. The Fringe buttons, how to volunteer also can be found at /volunteer. And then about the company, about the nutty people who put this thing together and want to support you in all the work you're doing. So let's go back to Hollywood Fringe support. So artists and crew, this is where we're going to want to spend the majority of our time. All about registration. That's going to be, I think, your go-to article as you're in these beginning stages of the festival. It'll even take you to the timeline that was on the other page. So this, if you're looking at trying to make sure you're on track, this will be a good way to do that, right? Participant registration is open right now. On April 1st, we have that registration deadline for the printed guide. On April 10th, the guide proof deadline, so on and so forth. Back to artists and crew. Here we also have finding and booking a venue. If you're a little unsure about the venue process, that's going to be a great article for you. It goes into what venues are available, how to pick and choose a venue, and other support articles with that. We have budgeting for Fringe. In here, we have sample budgets even from past Fringe shows. We update them every year. So there's sample budgets in there from 2022 for, a larger cast, a smaller cast, different, like a musical, a non-musical. We try to kind of create an array of budgets so that you can get an idea and some inspiration on how to move forward financially with your project. The quick links to resources, this is going to be a great one for you too. We've kind of compiled all of the articles that we think are super valuable and put them right there for you. So that's a good one to have saved. And then we go into things that you don't have to be worried about just yet, but they're definitely there and ready for you. All about ticketing. That's going to be, all about how ticketing works. And once venues, that you won't be able to do anything with tickets until the venues have added your show's performances. But when that happens, that'll show you how to navigate ticketing. We have AB5 links and definition. We're not lawyers. We don't pretend to be and don't want to put on the facade of lawyers. So we try to provide information and links to helpful information for you as you're navigating AB5 in Los Angeles theater. So that is there. Isolation after close contact with COVID. So right now we don't have a festival-wide COVID policy for our audience, but we do, of course, still live in the world, and we have an artist policy if you or a cast member were to get COVID or come in close contact with COVID. So that's going to be information that hopefully you never have to look at. But if something happens, we do have a plan in place to make sure that you can enter back into the festival community safely. Marketing and press, of course, show reviews, Fringe flyers and branding, Fringe awards, and then international participation if you are joining us from out of the country. So all helpful links as an artist. And then here, these are going to be less helpful, but by all means, dive into press and what it's like to be a Fringe venue, what it's like to be a Fringe audience member, and then our sponsors and partners. So that is our supportal. And note this cute little guy down here to the right. You can type in, I want to think registration. I can't remember where that article is. And it'll pop up all of the articles that could potentially lead you down the right path with what you were looking for. And the first one being, of course, all about registration. So that worked, always good. And then, of course, down the bottom, you can always contact us. That goes to support@hollywoodfringe.org. That's the email we really want everyone to remember. That's your new best Fringe pal. And even if the question is, I remember, someone at an event talking about this article, where do I find it? I looked, can't find it. No big deal. Let us know. We know where to find things on the site, and we're happy to help guide you to what you're looking for. So that is the supportal. Next we have, let's talk our news. So this is going to be stuff that's coming directly from the festival and about upcoming events, things that are not necessarily like about the festival, but more about your personal experience. So like, for example, in news right now, we have an article that we just published about equitable casting at Fringe. We try to help educate and guide our producers, because the idea is that we are a producer's training ground. Of course, we have experienced professional producers that come and play as well. But we also have a lot of students or a lot of people that are new to producing, or maybe have acted for 20 years, but have never taken on the producer role within their own work. So we try to create a really educational playing field for everyone. So things like articles here. We also have top 10 or like our top tips from our venue panel. So we're about to do one for our last town hall as well. We'll do a top 10 tips from each event as kind of a quick study. If you missed an event and just want the Spark Notes version, perhaps. We also have, of course, right now, upcoming venue tours and open houses. So if you're still looking for a venue, which I'm sure you are, most people are kind of at that beginning stage of figuring out where they might fit best, this will be a helpful article to you, and we're updating it whenever we get new information from venues. We also, and I think this arguably might be the most important one, HFF23 events. This has everything coming up in the pre-season. We have the pre-festival educational opportunities. That's going to be our workshops, our town halls, our open space sessions. So we still have 2 of those coming up to learn more about Fringe, especially if you're joining us from out of town. Our virtual web sessions, which Jack, you made it to the first one. And then, of course, our networking opportunities. More information and the details about these are going to be announced soon. But right now we do have the dates set. So you can plan on spending starting March 29th, like office hours on Wednesdays with us. That'll be our time in community to start marketing shows, to ask questions about the festival. Just a once a week check-in that is really, arguably the most fun thing about Fringe for most participants is getting to know the community and kind of creating the support team to, start this journey with. We also have our digital events. You can register already, they're up and going. And then up top, we have a link to our YouTube page, which of course brings you to any events that you might have missed or even just want to refer back to. We know, again, we're throwing a lot of information out at these events. So if you want to refer back to any events, they're always going to be available on our YouTube page. Oh, and calendar. You don't have to remember any of these dates because you can directly download the calendar by clicking this link right here onto your device. I myself did it, and we created these dates, and I still, what a handy thing to just pop them right in. So I highly recommend doing that way. That way you don't miss anything you really want to attend. All right. Go back to the home page. Let's go over the venue page, because there's another thing here. So make sure, I think a lot of people are probably in that venue stage right now. This is going to be on the venue tab right at the top, where you see all of the venues currently registered with the festival, the same list that was on that registration. However, maybe you registered on the first, and then we get new venues register all the time. So if you're still looking for a venue, there's no harm in checking out this tab, often, because there might be new opportunities available there. And so on these venue pages, you can click. You can send them an email. That's where we say you can connect with the venues right through the website. So you can send them an email right through the website. Maybe it's because we applied to Actors Company, right? Maybe it's, hey, Lauren, I applied to your venue, wanted to check in. I'd really love to take a tour or, get to know the space. It's also going to have details, pictures, anything you need to know about these spaces. And you can also, of course, apply to venues right here as well. And let's talk, I'm going to introduce you to the participant packet, which it's going out. If you haven't registered yet, you likely haven't seen it because it does go out with your registration receipt email. But this packet is 57 pages to be exact of all of the information that is available on the site, but we tried to put it into a easy to digest packet. So if you go to hollywoodfringe.org/participants, nope. I'm doing great. Oh, there we go. I knew it was in there. Y'all, I am exhausted today. So right here we have our participant packet. And feel free to go here on your own, even if you haven't registered. I think it'll maybe help you get a real feel for what to expect. So that's going to be found at hollywoodfringe.org/participants. It helps to spell the name of your festival correctly, as I've just learned. So here I recommend downloading the Google Doc version. That's going to be the high res, actually the high res PDF is going to be the best option here, because the site, it's a big old packet and it really didn't take super well. But let's give you a quick preview here. We have it broken down into phases. So again, we try to give you the information as it's more easily digested, because otherwise there's so much. If we threw everything at once, it would become overwhelming, and we don't want that. So phase one is going to be a lot of what we're talked about already: the important dates about the Fringe, what this thing is that you're signing up for, the community ethos and code of conduct, and then COVID safety and how to navigate that at the festival. Into phase two, we're getting more into the nitty-gritty of website tools, things that we're talking about today, venue resources, workshops and town halls, all of that prep work. And then into setting yourself up for success, starting to look at what you want to do with previews, thinking about unions and licensing. For example, if you have union actors, you're going to need contracts, things like that, or licensing, like how music licensing works and how to make sure you're not getting in trouble in that regard. There's also discounts. There's a lot of discounts in this packet because we know producing is costly. So we try to partner with as many places as possible to provide discounts. For example, we have rehearsal space discounts in the packet. So if you're looking for a place to rehearse, there are many venues that are offering discounts, even if they're not the venue that you're performing in. Maybe they're, a cheap venue that you can rehearse in. So there's options there. There's also information about accessibility and inclusion, and a lot of we try to create just easy avenues to create more access within your work, and educational tools on how to do that. And then, of course, getting involved in the community. We talk about social media and office hours and the different networking events that we recommend you get involved in. Then we go into marketing and promotion and press and tickets and photos and live stream and all of that. It's go time phase when things are really heating up and it's time to really get the details in place. And then, of course, during the festival, right? The big sigh of relief, the show is up and running. And now what do you do? So we talk about Fringe Central, how the button discount works, hotspots, how to volunteer if you have any additional time on your hands and want to get more involved. The programs that we're introducing this year, like the industry program called Discover Fringe, and then awards, and then ways to contact Fringe, of course. But definitely recommend giving this a look-see. Just a fun, like I said, easier to digest packet. And then, of course, we have a docx version as well here that's going to be a little easier to read without the photos and all of the formatting. And with that, y'all, I think that is my introduction to the website. Again, mostly as a teaser, that way you can kind of dive in and know where to find things when you're at home getting ready for the festival. But are there any questions? And the good news is you always have support at hollywoodfringe.org if questions come up later, because they will. I promise you they will. And we're always there to answer those questions. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, if you have any questions that are not about the site, that is absolutely fine too. You have staff here for the next few minutes. So if it's a different kind of question about Fringe, we'd be happy to answer those as well. Awesome. Y'all, thank you so much. Please register. You have until April 1st. We're so excited to see what you bring to Fringe. You are what make Fringe every year. The festival is merely a platform. The energy is entirely brought by the participants and the stories that are shared. So we can't wait to